there, and welcome to another episode of Growing Together. I'm your host, Randy Potter, and this is a show where you and I can grow together as we learn about the fundamentals of gardening and horticulture and plants and all that fun stuff. And even though it's winter in our area right now, there's still plenty of gardening to be had. And last month we talked about houseplants, and this month I thought we might talk about seeds, but we're going to take a little different approach and check out a really cool local family business that has made a really big impact on the horticulture and the seed industry and some other things like that. So I'm really excited to learn more about it. So we're on the road and we're at Ernst Conservation Seeds, and I'm here with Michael Ernst, whose family owns and operates a really great business that I'm really excited to learn more about. So thank you for joining us, Michael.
Sure.
Yeah, so give us an overview of what your mission here is at Ernst, and tell people a little bit about what you do, because I know I grew up around here and I didn't know about you, but I'm really excited to learn about all the great stuff you guys do. So
Sure. Our business started in 1964, before I was born. My father was going to Penn State, and he was working down in the greenhouses in Penn State, and his professors had told him that the crown vetch was just coming out. It was the miracle plant that was going to be grown along the highways on like 79, Interstate 80, the highways that were being built at the time. And they told him that someone needs to grow this plant for us. Someone's going to need to grow this seed for the state to utilize the seeds along the highway. So he came back in 1964 with crown vetch seed and started growing that up at our family farm. And from there, he grew this seed company, I guess you want to say. Crown vetch was a non-native plant, which is not really what we do at all right now. We focus mainly on native plants. So along with the crown vetch, we were starting to deal in seeds. We were buying fescues and annual ryegrasses and all different types of seed from out west, and bringing those seeds in, taking our crown vetch that we were growing, mixing them together, and providing that seed to contractors, to road builders. And then it turned into where we were providing lots of different seeds to the strip mines in Pennsylvania. And that business kind of put us in the seed business. As we were going along, though, we were finding that the demand for crown vetch was dropping. And there was starting to be a focus on wetlands. And my father had somebody call him on the phone and wanted to know if they could get a hold of some fox sedge. Well, my dad, being outdoors all his life and knew everything, about the outdoors and such, he knew what fox sedge was, and he said, well, I think I could get this for you. I've seen it growing in our fields. It's just a weed. And he started harvesting fox sedge, and then we started finding demand for all different types of wetland seeds. And so that really, I want to say, I feel like that really started to really direct the company in the right direction, where we were providing these native seeds to different contractors throughout the state who had projects that were demanding wetland seeds. Wetlands were being protected at the time, and there was a large focus on making sure that we didn't lose that particular habitat. Wetlands basically, I feel like they put us into becoming a wetland seed, into a native seed company. The demand started growing even more for more native types of seeds. The value of a native seed is the fact that it's been here for a long period of time. It's adapted to this area. If we plant, fescues and ryegrasses and all different types of your standard conservation seeds that are going to keep the ground from eroding around here, over time they wear out. And the native seeds, though, in a mixture especially, you put those in the ground and they will start growing and they're more adapted to maybe the acid soils we have around here. They are able to flourish in many different environments. A lot of times when we're putting seed mixes together, we're mixing many different species together. Some of them are going to do better in different areas, and when they get spread on a job site, there's going to be something that grows out of that seed mix on that particular area.
Native species is something that you're hearing more about, on the home gardening side of things nowadays. But it was interesting reading through your history, is that, you guys have a long, rich history of really innovating, and being on top of developing these kind of trends before they're happening. And I think it's also interesting that this is so associated with, you talk about highway development and things like that people wouldn't necessarily think of conservation. And I think it's amazing. You guys really have filled that niche in providing, like you said, conserving habitats and working with native species, which not only grow well here, but at least I would imagine also, work with, that, like you said, the habitats for the animals and things like that, and being sustainable and conserving nature and allowing us to develop in healthy ways. And you guys also have a rich family tradition, which I appreciate about your local business. I know, it was started by your father. Obviously, you're still working here, and it seems to me that you guys have a close-knit, group of employees, from what I've gathered.
We certainly do, yeah.
So I think that's great, and I'm really excited to see more about your production and things like that. But if there's any more you'd like to go on about the conservation side of things, and like you talked about wetlands and
well, you're talking about different habitats. We of course, like the highways, a lot of the highways are already built. We don't see lots of large highways going in like we did back in the 70s. But currently there's a lot of opportunity in the solar panel industry. So the solar panel industry came out, and we've all been following it a little bit. It's a great way that hopefully we'll get to replace a large amount of our electricity. We're looking at growing these species that will grow underneath the solar panels, and hopefully not conflict with the solar panels. So that's different markets like that. Another market, would be the pipelines. Oil and gas industry, there's tons of pipelines going in right now. And those pipelines all need to be revegetated after they lay the pipes in the ground. So there always seems to be an opening market for our products somewhere, and it always turns around and goes a different direction than what I would ever think. I remember my brother once came home and he started telling me about pollinators. I'm like, what's that got to do with our business? Well, it had everything to do with our business. I didn't realize it was going to be such a big movement. The people are concerned about these native insects that we need to survive on this earth, I guess you want to say, and they're interested in pushing those insects forward and making sure that they have a habitat to survive in.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. You guys are. It just really goes to show, how ingrained plants are in our daily life. Even to more of an extent that we might think, and it just really shows a vital role that you're filling in our community that I don't think a lot of people realize. And I think it's great that you're sharing that with us today. So, if you don't mind showing us around a little bit, we'd love to see a little bit more about what you guys do and check out the place.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, well, here we are outside at the facility, and this is something I see a lot of times when I'm driving by the highway, but I don't really know what the heck it's for.
All right, so these are our agricultural bins that we bring all of our crops in from the field and store them in here to get them ready to go into the processing facility. We harvest our crops in a lot of different ways. We use combines to harvest a lot of the crops, just like you would for corn and soybeans. Okay. Also, a lot of our flowers have really small seeds that do not ripen all at the same time, so we end up whole plant chopping them and bringing them in silage wagons and putting them in these bins to dry. And we also do a lot of hand harvesting of certain crops that are just too difficult or in too difficult of areas to get with a combine.
Okay, yeah.
So for example, a lot of the wetland plants, obviously we can't just drive a combine into the wetland to get these seeds out. These agricultural bins are unique in the fact that they have a false floor in them. So you'll see inside there's a floor about 1.5 feet higher than the concrete floor here. And when the seed goes in there's a fan on the back side, forces air up to the bottom of the bin and dries the crop out. So a lot of our crops are coming in, especially the green chop stuff, which would be the many asters and flowers, come in that way, and they still have quite a bit of moisture in them. So for the most part, we just use natural air drying, but we also can put propane heaters on each one of the bins and add a little bit of heat to help that drying process. Getting the seed stabilized, obviously, is how we keep it preserved. And taking the moisture out of it is one of the biggest parts of that. So.
Okay, cool.
Well, Randy, what we have here is a vacuum blower. And so we have all these seeds in the bin, and we want to transfer those seeds in the bin up into that building up over there.
Okay.
So this piece of machinery takes and it sucks the seed out of the bin, and it blows it in the pipe and over to the cleaning facility.
Okay.
This piece of machinery we've actually altered to work for our company here. We actually put hullers on the machines, and those hullers take the seed and they break it apart. They don't break the seed apart, they break the plant material off of the seed so that the seed can be separated once it does hit the cleaner building.
Interesting. All right, our seeds have made it over to the cleaner building. Why don't you tell us what happens here?
All right, so the seeds are going to travel down through a bin that after they're blown up from the bins, they're put into another bin overhead. This bin has a special floor in it. As you can see the belt there.
Yeah.
That's a conveyor belt that's ripping a small portion of that seed off the bottom. The reason that we have to have a conveyor belt as opposed to just a hopper bottom type feeder is because our seeds are typically, I want to say light as chicken feathers sometimes. It's not like handling corn and soybeans where you can get them to flow through a trough.
Yeah.
We have to force the material out of the bin. So that's what that belt's doing. It's going along, ripping a small portion of that seed off the bottom of the bin and dropping it into the clipper cleaner. So that cleaner operates on two basic different principles. It's using air and screens to make a separation. So the seed falls down through an air column, light air is blown up through the column, and the light seed is blown off, or the chaff.
Right. Light
seed and chaff are blown off, and then the seed drops down onto a screen. The screen, like these ones right here, they're holes, and the seed slides over top of this. The small seeds that we don't want would fall out the bottom, and then the seed would go through another screen where the oversized seeds would be taken off also.
Oh, okay. So this is where the seeds come out, is that right?
That's right, Randy. So this is what I call the secondary cleaners. So the seeds have already gone through the primary cleaner upstairs where we've done air separation, we've done screen separation, but we still might have a lot of weed seeds in this mixture. All right, so what we have here is a common machine that we use down here is an indent. It's a round drum with dimples on it. And those dimples, as they turn around, small seeds will fall into the dimple and get lifted up and dropped into an auger and come out right here. The larger seeds will end up staying in the bottom of the indent and slide out to the far end. So this is Biden's frondosa, or devil's fork. As you walk through a wetland, you'll find they'll stick to your legs.
Yeah.
And that's the separation that we're able to make with that piece of machinery. Both of these products were the same weight and approximately the same size, but with these secondary cleaners, we're able to make one more separation. All right, Randy, so this is another one of our secondary cleaners. It's called a gravity table, and seed enters in through here. It drops onto this table. There's a little bit of air trying to raise the material up and keep it from dropping, and then the shake ends up bringing the heavier materials up to the top end and the lighter materials to the bottom end. Right now, it's not visually different what you can see, but the operator right here right now can tell that the seed coming to this end is free of the weeds that she's trying to get out, and she's taking the weeds out on the lower end of this. All right, Randy, so this is another one of our secondary cleaning machines. It's called a velvet roll. And this is just kind of how desperate we get to make a separation. We're always trying to make a separation. We're trying to make one more cut on that seed, trying to find one more way to get that seed just a little more pure, get one more weed seed out of it. So when you look at the coat of a seed, some of them are smooth and some of them are rough. This machine can recognize a smooth seed. It puts the seed in at the top end. It runs it in between two velvet rolls like this, and the rolls roll outward. The smooth seed will ride right down the middle of those two rolls and just slide right to the very end. Whereas anything rough gets thrown out.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
You guys have all kinds of ways of separating seeds.
Yes. Yep.
That's cool.
So this is our bioengineering department. What we do is we go out into the wild and we harvest native willow species, dogwoods, nannyberry, arrowwood, all different types of brush. and we're bringing that brush in, and we're cutting it into certain lengths for contractors to plant out in the field again. All these brushes that we're providing grow from the stem. So they'll take a stick like these and they'll drive it into the ground. Ideally, they'd like to get this about 2/3 buried and 1/3 above, out of the ground. And then this will grow back into another willow again.
Yeah, well, it's really amazing. I didn't, when we came in here, I had no idea that these were going to be for planting. You said there were some other dogwoods and things like that that you can plant with? Or?
Yeah, so we have a rhodosia dogwood, silky dogwood, gray dogwood, any kind of dogwood you can think of, I think, for the most part. But these sticks are typically used on stream bank restoration. So the contractor's in the stream bank, he's trying to armor the sidewalls to make sure that erosion doesn't continue on the side of the stream bank. They'll put these native willows, dogwoods and such in those stream banks. And obviously once a plant grows, it's help holding the soil and keeping erosion from happening. But the other nice thing about dogwoods and these willows compared to a tree is if they do get a heavy flood, it comes in, knocks everything down and buries it, it just grows right back again.
Yeah, wow, amazing. Yeah, it's a great example too of just, how the role of conservation, goes so much farther than the seeds of what you do here. It's really cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yep. So this is what we call partials. So in the facility here and in the warehouses, we have all these different seeds sitting. And we've got to get those seeds mixed up and ready for a customer to use. This is what we call partials. We have one bag of every single lot that we have on the entire facility in this room here. They're put up on racks and they're alphabetized. So as one of the people that work in this department would need to make up a mix for a customer, they would get a print sheet, come through the aisleways and pick out whatever they want to get and take it over to the scales and weigh them up. And after they get done weighing, get all the seeds together, they mix them together and sew it up and ship it out.
Wow, cool.
So this is one of the tumblers we have here. This is basically a seed mixer. So after they get done picking up all these little portions of seed and put them together, they bring them over to this machine, they dump them in the top, and then it spins around and tumbles the seed like a big dryer, I guess you want to say, or a big washing machine would tumble stuff. And it mixes it all together very well, and then we take it out through this chute right here.
And why are the mixes important?
Well, once again, it's the idea that we're going out on a site that isn't a perfect site. It's not like a farm field where we're trying to grow one crop. It's a pipeline, let's say. And that pipeline might be going up over a hill and then dropping into a little ditch and then back up and out again. And we need to have a variety of seeds out there that if one seed fails, we need another seed to pick up the pace and take its place.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, so this is one of the 3 warehouses we have. This is the largest one we have. It's a climate-controlled warehouse. So we call it a 50-50. We're trying to keep it 50 degrees at 50% humidity, which is quite a challenge. The humidity in these buildings is what really preserves the seed. They tell me it's not so much temperature as getting the humidity down low. And that allows the seeds to last for several years. Often a lot of the crops we grow, we don't always have good luck with every year with the climate and stuff and the weather patterns we have. So when we do get a good year on a crop, we're trying to get at least 2 years of seed in the facility here that we can rely on over the next 2 years. And this warehouse helps us achieve that by helping us preserve that seed. These seeds are tested every 6 months to make sure that the germination and purity are good on them. And we don't want to see that germination drop.
Right, sure, yeah. And you said this is pretty empty. You guys certainly can fill it up, I guess, huh?
Yeah, sometimes the alleyways get filled in here. It can be a real mess, but always seems like space is the one thing we're lacking.
Right, yeah. All right, so you got your seeds harvested, cleaned, conditioned, sorted, weighed, mixed, all that kind of stuff. And now we're here at our last step, which is sending them on their way, right?
Getting them to the customer, that's right.
Okay.
A lot of our product ends up going out on UPS. Oh. Now we still do commercial freight, we still do pallets of material going out, but a lot of times we're sending 4 or 5 bags out to one customer. and our customers are usually under time crunch. We try to take an order one day and we try to have it on UPS the very next day for them. And like I said, we consider our territory to be from the Mississippi east and from Florida all the way to Canada.
Yeah, it's pretty broad territory, and yeah, I think it's amazing again what you guys do for. It's amazing to think of how much land your seeds probably have covered and grown, and you know all the work you've done for conservation and really just helping the environment and society move along. And I appreciate you sharing everything with us here today. One of the most exciting things about seeds is when they actually grow. So maybe we'll have to come back and check you guys out and see some plant life around this place. But thanks again for sharing it with us, and thank you all for joining with us here today for another episode of Growing Together. We'll see you next month, and until then, keep on growing.